So we will begin with reading the Vibhanga Sutta. This is Breaking Down the Path, and this is a translation by Bhante Ananda. Once in Savatthi, the Buddha said, "Righteous is this eight-spoked path, monks, that I will explain and break down to you. Listen carefully and apply your mind to what I will say." "Yes, Bhante," replied the monks. The awakened one spoke thus, "What is this righteous eight-spoked path?" It is here as follows: wise understanding, wise attitude, wise speech, wise behavior, wise living, wise practice, wise awareness, wise meditation. And what is this wise understanding? That is knowing what is unwholesome, knowing the increase of the unwholesome, knowing the release from the unwholesome, knowing the way to release the unwholesome. This is called wise understanding. What is wise attitude? That is the attitude of contentment, the attitude of non-anger, the attitude of harmlessness. This is called wise attitude. And what is wise speech? That is abstaining from false speech, abstaining from spiteful speech, abstaining from unkind speech, abstaining from senseless talk. This is called wise speech. And what is wise behavior? That is abstaining from mistreating living beings, abstaining from taking what is not given, abstaining from sexual misconduct. This is called wise behavior. What is wise living? That is a righteous meditator abandons wrong modes of living and shapes a life by right modes of living. This is called wise living. What is wise practice? One generates the intention for the non-emergence of inexistent, unfavorable, unwholesome states of mind. One endeavors with determination, strives and supports this with one's mind. One generates the intention for the abandonment of existent, unfavorable, unwholesome states of mind. One endeavors with determination, strives and supports this with one's mind. One generates the intention for the emergence of inexistent, wholesome states of mind. One endeavors with determination, strives and supports this with one's mind. One generates the intention for the persistence of already emerged wholesome states, for their non-confusion, growth, maturation, development, and culmination. One endeavors with determination, strives and supports this with one's mind. This is called wise practice. What is wise awareness? One meditates, observing body as body, intent, fully aware and present, abandoning worldly desire and regret. One meditates, observing feeling as feeling, intent, fully aware and present, abandoning worldly desire and regret. One meditates, observing mind as mind, intent, fully aware and present, abandoning worldly desire and regret. One meditates, observing Dhamma as Dhamma, intent, fully aware, present, abandoning worldly desire and regret. This is called wise awareness. What is wise meditation? Disengaging oneself from the outward desire and detaching oneself from unwholesome mental states, attended by thinking and imagination with the joy and happiness born of mental detachment. One understands and abides in the first level of meditation, with the calming of thinking and imagining, with inner tranquilization, with the mind becoming unified, unattended by thinking and imagination, with joy and happiness born of samadhi. One understands and dwells in the second level of meditation. One abides in bliss, unclenching, balanced, present, and fully comprehending, experiencing happiness within one's body, that which the awakened ones describe as steady presence of mind. This is a pleasant abiding. One understands and abides in the third level of meditation, leaving behind the notions of happiness and unhappiness, with the earlier settling of mental gladness and affliction, with neither distress nor excitement, purified by unmoving presence. One understands and abides in the fourth level of meditation. This is called wise meditation. Now I'm going to read a second sutta, which is translated by Bhante Sujato. This is from the Samyutta Nikaya 49.1 to 12, and it's known as Sloping East. At Savatthi, there the Buddha said, "Bhikkhus, there are these four right efforts." What for? It's when a bhikkhu generates enthusiasm, tries, makes an effort, exerts the mind, and strives so that bad, unskillful qualities don't arise. They generate enthusiasm, try, make an effort, exert the mind, and strive so that bad, unskillful qualities that have arisen are given up. They generate enthusiasm, try, make an effort, exert the mind, and strive so that skillful qualities arise. They generate enthusiasm, try, make an effort, exert the mind, and strive so that skillful qualities that have arisen remain, are not lost, but increase, mature, and are completed by development. These are the four right efforts. The Ganges River slants, slopes, and inclines to the east. In the same way, a bhikkhu who develops and cultivates the four right efforts slants, slopes, and inclines to Nibbana. And how does a bhikkhu who develops the four right efforts slant, slope, and incline to Nibbana? They generate enthusiasm, try, make an effort, exert the mind, and strive so that bad, unskillful qualities don't arise. They generate enthusiasm, try, make an effort, exert the mind, and strive so that bad, unskillful qualities that have arisen are given up. They generate enthusiasm, try, make an effort, exert the mind, and strive so that skillful qualities arise. They generate enthusiasm, try, make an effort, exert the mind, and strive so that skillful qualities that have arisen remain, are not lost, but increase, mature, and are completed by development. That's how a bhikkhu who develops and cultivates the four right efforts slants, slopes, and inclines to Nibbana. So for today, the theme is right intention, or effective choice, as I like to call it, and effective application, or what is traditionally known as right effort. So let's start with effective choice. Effective choice is the choice to be in a wholesome state of mind. It's the choice to let go of unwholesome states of mind. And it's the choice to apply one's mind towards Nibbana. The unwholesome and the wholesome states of mind that arise are to be divided into two by first preventing the unwholesome, then abandoning whatever has arisen in the way of the unwholesome, and then generating or bringing up the wholesome and maintaining that. These four make up what is effective application. And how is this done? It's done within the meditation. If you are doing a particular process like, for example, the 6 R's, you do it in a way that you first stay with your object of meditation. In this case, it might be one of the Brahmaviharas. It might be metta. It might be karuna. It might be mudita, or it might be upekkha. In other words, it might be loving kindness, compassion, empathetic joy, or equanimity. Or it might even be the tranquil mind itself once you attain it at a higher state of meditation. The meditation, when you are doing it, is essentially two things: observing the wholesome state of mind. In other words, the Brahmavihara that you have generated through the practice, you just observe it within one's mind. You observe how it flows out from you if you are radiating it in all directions, or how it flows to your spiritual friend if you choose to do it that way. That is the first aspect of the meditation. The second is the process of using right effort to make sure that your mind is not distracted. And that is the use of what is known as mindfulness. Mindfulness has been used as a word a lot nowadays, and it means a lot of things to a lot of different people. But if you go back to the root word of mindfulness from the Pali, which is sati, and then you also look at the Sanskrit version of that, which is smriti, it means essentially memory, or to recollect, or to remember. So you are using mindfulness in this way, which is to say, you are making sure that the attention that you have on your object, or on the Brahmavihara, or whatever it might be during the meditation, is being there. It's not being distracted. In other words, mindfulness is the ability to keep one's observation, to keep one's attention rooted in reality on the Brahmavihara, on the feeling that you have generated, the wholesome feeling that you have generated. And the exercise of using mindfulness is essentially using the 4 right efforts, which means you have noticed if you become distracted that you have become distracted. So you prevent any further distractions from coming into mind once recognizing that you were distracted. You then abandon or release your attention from the unwholesome state, or from the distraction that takes you away from the meditation. So once you have taken your attention away from the distraction, you come to relaxing any tension that might be there in the body. You are relaxing the craving. You are letting go of the craving. By letting go, you are practicing the effective choice, meaning you are practicing in that moment letting go of craving and letting go of the unwholesome states that have arisen. So by relaxing any kind of subtle tension that might arise in the mind and in the body as a reaction to having this distracted mind, you then come to a wholesome object or a wholesome state of mind, and you generate that through the help of a smile. So you've already begun your meditation by having a little Buddha smile on your mouth, or as well having a smile in the eyes and in the mind, essentially having a relaxed mind and just allowing that smile to carry forward the wholesome quality of mind. So having done this, you then come back to your meditation. You come back to the wholesome quality of mind. So by doing this, you now have first brought up the wholesome quality through your smile, if that helps, and then come into the wholesome quality of feeling that you use as your vehicle of meditation. So then by doing so, you keep maintaining your attention on that vehicle of meditation, which is that wholesome quality of mind. And then you repeat anytime you become distracted. You repeat the entire process every time other unwholesome qualities of mind start to arise. So within the right effort or effective application, you can see that you are actually practicing effective choice as well. And when you do this in the meditation, it creates a feedback loop, which means the more you are able to abandon and let go of unwholesome states of mind, and the more you are able to bring up wholesome states of mind, the more you are able to do this in choices that are given to you in every moment of your daily living. And by doing that in the meditation, you are reconditioning the mind to be able to be more present, which means it is becoming more aware of what is happening and what choices are presented to it. So it's a reaction versus response, meaning in a reaction, it's almost reflexive. The mind, if it has been used to reacting in a certain way, which might be unwholesome, will immediately go towards the unwholesome choice in every given moment. But as you continue with the practice in meditation, it will start to become more apparent to you where you're able to take a pause in the choices that come, and you're able to respond with wisdom. You're able to respond from one of the Brahmaviharas according to the situation. If the situation requires to come at it with loving kindness or compassion or joy or equanimity or tranquility, you are able to do that because you have trained your mind, you have conditioned your mind within the meditation. And as I said, this is a feedback loop, which means that when you are able to do this in the meditation, you're able to do this in choices in daily life. And the more you're able to be more wholesome in daily life, it has an immediate effect on the mind, because the mind becomes more clarified, more purified by these wholesome actions that you take that come from the effective choice of letting go of the unwholesome and cultivating the wholesome, cultivating an attitude of harmlessness, cultivating an attitude of sloping or slanting towards seclusion, towards nibbana. And then as you're able to do this more in daily living, by being able to have that wholesome state of mind in your daily practice, in your daily living, by making the effective choice of letting go of the unwholesome, cultivating the wholesome, and having mind slant towards nibbana, you are creating a stable, clear foundation for your next meditation session. So every time you do this, you create a mind that is basically ready for the meditation, allowing the mind to go even deeper in the meditation. And then therefore, after you come out from that meditation, you are then able to act according to the wholesome choices, act according to the effective choice. And the effective application comes into play not only in meditation, but it also comes into play when you are presented with these choices. When you are presented with whether coming into a situation with a wholesome mindset or an unwholesome mindset. And when you find that if a situation is inherently unwholesome and tries to bring out an unwholesome quality of mind through that choice, you become aware, take a pause, and use the 4 effective applications to be able to come at it from a wholesome standpoint, which means that if somebody, for example, were to try to bring out anger from you, and you start to realize and recognize that there is an ignition of anger coming out, you prevent it by recognizing and seeing in that moment the anger is arising, and you let go of it, and then you replace it with a loving and kind attitude. So what that means is, when you see the anger arising, for example, you are now preventing that anger from further arising, because it's in the unawareness, in the lack of mindfulness, that you allow, or that you are unable to have that anger be under control and therefore be let go of. So in that unawareness, because of that lack of mindfulness, the anger will just flow out. But if you do have the mindfulness, if you do have the awareness, you will be able to know that you will be able to know with your attention that there is anger starting to arise, and then let go of that anger, let go of that inkling of anger. And so by doing that, you're preventing the anger and you're abandoning the anger. And then you come into a loving and kind attitude. You bring it up by understanding that the situation, for example, may require a loving and kind attitude, a patient attitude, and you bring that up and you maintain that, and therefore you make the effective choice of being in a state of wholesomeness, of being in an attitude of harmlessness, and therefore start cultivating a mind that is ripe for Nibbana. So it's essential to see this feedback loop, and by understanding it, it motivates the mind to not only have this kind of a effective application process and effective choice process within the meditation, but also in daily life.
I have a question. The effective choice in daily life and at the start of the meditation, do I continue to bring it up consciously? The reason I'm asking this question is because sometimes what I do in meditation, if I start a meditation sitting, what happens is I just literally just sit and see what is arising, rather than bringing up the wholesome qualities of mind. And the reason I'm doing that is because then my mind is actually pretty tranquil already. I see things arising, I relax them, and pretty quickly my mind becomes collected. At the same time, I also recall that when I do consciously bring up a wholesome quality of mind, metta is typically what I do, it moves to the first jhana almost instantly. And I'm just trying to see, what is it dependent on the situation or the context, or is it best to start up with effective choice, bringing up the Brahmavihara, the metta, and then moving to the clear mind situation?
Yeah. So from what you're describing, essentially in the first case, what you're doing is actually having the effective observation or right mindfulness, which means you are aware of body as body, aware of sensations as sensations, aware of mind as mind, and aware of phenomena as phenomenon. So you're just watching where the mind is in that moment. That too is actually an effective choice because it's in line with right mindfulness. It's in line with the Noble Eightfold Path because of that right mindfulness. So once you are aware what your present situation is, in other words, you're aware if the mind is tranquil or if it's not tranquil, if it's agitated or if it's at ease, if it's upset or if it's at peace. This is really practicing one aspect of the four foundations of mindfulness in that regard. So you can start that way, and once you are aware of where your mind is presently, if it is, for example, already tranquil, you then still bring up a wholesome quality so that you can get into the first jhana. But you let go, once you are in the first jhana, you let go of any of the factors that come into play from the first jhana. You don't allow the mind to, say, be distracted by the occurrence of the first jhana, and stay with the feeling, because as you stay with the feeling, it will evolve and it will transform on its own without your pushing, let's say, or without any kind of poking or prodding. As long as you keep observing, you will see that it keeps changing. So as I mentioned, your steps that you do in the meditation is essentially, once you bring up the feeling, once you are aware where your mind is at the beginning of the meditation, and then accordingly, if you need to 6R, or if you need to, say, use the 4 right efforts or the 4 effective applications to let go of any unwholesome states that are possibly there, if they are, and then bring up the metta in your case, and then continue on with the jhana, mindful of what is happening in terms of the occurrence of the first jhana and the second and the third and so on, but still keeping your attention, which is the use of mindfulness, making sure through observation that you are keeping your mind with that feeling. You're not allowing it to get distracted by the factors of the jhana, and then if you are, to just use the effective application to come back.
Thank you. And once you are in the first jhana and you're moving to the second jhana, where verbal formations are starting to decline, at that point in time, you're also be more relaxed about the intentions, about the continuation of the bringing up of the Brahmavihara, because then it has started its own journey, if you will, as long as you don't get distracted, and then you just continue to observe the feeling which is there, and if you get distracted, you 6R and you come back to the object of meditation.
That's correct. That's correct. Which means that in the second jhana, which is the abandoning of the thinking aspect, the verbalizing and examining aspect of the mind. So the intention, as you just mentioned, is to bring up, for example, metta. Once the metta has been generated with whatever way you do it, the intention is let go of, because now that the metta is free-flowing, you are effectively in the second jhana. now that you have let go of the verbalization, if you use verbalization, or let go of the imagining, if you use the imagining to bring up a wholesome state of metta. And then you let go of it and then allow that to just free flow. And I always liken it to watching a movie. So just sit back, enjoy, have your popcorn and watch the metta continue.
And then the other thing which people often ask in meditation is the movement of the body.
Yeah.
In the sense that one is starting the meditation practice and you feel an itch, or my knee starts to hurt, or I feel I want to move my hands. And then the response is, but actually all of these things are arising in your mind, and it's the intention that's going to move your body. So you should still sit. You should still sit. You should sit as still as the Buddha is sitting, meaning no movement at all, literally at all. Is that also your understanding?
That is also the understanding that I have, which is that if you do feel an itch, for example, or if you feel an ache in the body, some kind of discomfort, I will say one, in terms of the itch, it arose out of your control. So, which means that you didn't cause the itch, it was just caused by a series of causes and conditions. So you use the effective observation or right mindfulness to be aware that, well, there's itchiness in the body now. And then you let go of it. You let go of your attention to it. Which means that if you continue to be aware of the itchiness and allow your attention to rest on it, you are not only distracted and therefore no longer on the object or on the vehicle of your meditation, which is metta, but you are also feeding that itch to grow with that attention. So what you need to do then is, for example, use the 6R process as one might understand it, or the 4 effective applications. And by doing that, it might require a few times of using that process, but every time you do it, the attention will fade away from the itch and come back to its object, to its vehicle of meditation. And so the itch might appear again. So you do the same thing and then come back to the metta. It might happen one more time. It might happen a few more times. But instead of fighting it, instead of allowing your mind to become so affected through that attention of staying with that itch, allow it to be there, let go of it, and come back. Eventually, at a certain point, the itch will no longer be noticeable, and you will be with your vehicle of meditation. When it comes to discomfort in the body, or let's say there is some kind of tension in the body, some people describe that as meditation pain after sitting for quite some time. And what you do there also is the same kind of application as you did with the itch. But there is another kind of discomfort that is tension in the body and tension in the mind, which means that perhaps you are trying too hard by trying to push the mind to stay with its metta, to stay with the feeling, rather than sitting back and observing. So if you notice there's tension, first see whether you are pushing too much. See whether you're trying to make something happen, which is actually a form of craving. You are trying to change the present situation by forcing something upon it which is not there, instead of accepting what is the reality of the situation and letting go of the need to control it. So based on that, if there is such a tension arising, you use the effective application, the 6R process, and let go of it, and then come back to the metta. And if there is meditation pain, likewise, you do the same thing.
have one last question, I think related to this, which is that in my past, in this life, I had quite some craving in terms of a relationship that I used to have. And it has taken me quite some time, and I've been able to let the formations go and the craving go, and in my daily living, it's hardly noticeable. It doesn't come up. At the same time, sometimes in my dreams or during night, it still comes up. And for me, this is quite an interesting situation, because then I'm not completely mindful in my dreams. I can let it go. Sometimes I feel like I'm the perception or non-perception, I'm like in the middle, and I am allowed and I'm able to let it go. But it confuses me sometimes that actually it is coming up in my dreams and it's not coming up in my waking life, if you will. Is there any way I can also release it in my, in my sleep?
You can try to be a little more lucid in dreaming. It might be difficult at first, but it's a process in which you actually even use effective application within the dreaming process. If you are able to be so mindful to the point that you become aware of the dreams that you're having, which may become, let's say, rooted in some form of craving, you can let that go as well. And the other way to do it is, if you remember that you had that dream, perhaps upon waking up in the morning or later on, you can have the intention of letting that go as well through effective application. So even if it does not appear in your meditation and it appears in your dream state, for example, you can, as I said, to reiterate, if you have the mindfulness to be able to let go of it within that dream, or after having remembered what is in that dream. So using your retrospective view, so to speak, you can then let go of it. It's in the same process as when you are, for example, in neither perception or non-perception, in the 8th jhana, where one is not fully aware of the contents of the mind in that particular jhana or state of mind, but upon having come out of it, spends a few minutes through retrospective looking back at what was occurring, and then using the 6-star process or using effective application to let go of those thoughts or ideas or concepts or formations.
Because the thing is, in my mind, in my dream, I am mindful to the sense that I know I'm dreaming, I know this is coming up, and I know I should be letting it go. However, my mindfulness is not as strong. I can do the last step. So that's what's happening in my mind.
Right. Yeah, it's just a matter of being able to take that one step if you are able to. If you're not able to, you will still recollect it, let's say, upon waking up. And at that point in time, it would be easier for you to let go of it.
May the suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Dhadu, dhadu, dhadu.